Cap from AWS reInvent 2023. Welcome and good morning from Cloud Talk Live. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. My name is Jeff DeVerter. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist for us here at Rackspace Technology. And I don't have some of my normal lower thirds and fun stuff, but Megan Fleming, Fretz, is back there producing her little heart away, doing a great job. But all the same rules do apply. So that means introduce yourselves. I'd love to know who you are. I'd love to know where you are. I do know when you are because, well, it's right now. And this is, I mentioned earlier, this is the last live broadcast that we're going to do from Las Vegas on this trip. And it has been quite a trip. Rackspace has shown up in classic Rackspace fashion. Amazing work down in the booth. The team that pulled all that together was really quite fantastic. And one of the things that they did while we were here is they put on an amazing event. We were down on top of the Cromwell at Dre's Beach Club. That's right, there's a beach club right here in the middle of a desert. It makes sense if you were there. In fact, I can show you that. We have a recap video that we're gonna roll right now and let you see the event. We're about to put on an amazing party. Best one of the year. Welcome to the greatest event in Vegas. Thank you so much for being here, everyone, and have a great reInvent 2023. Are you seeing any comments? That was really such a fun event. And maybe if you're watching this, you were even here. So if you were, maybe comment down below. Let me know if you were there. Now, what we're going to cover here today is Ruba Borno, who leads partners for AWS, did a keynote yesterday. So we're going to take a look and talk a little bit about what some of her, topics were, what some of her announcements were. There were some really interesting things in there. So we're going to unpack some of that. I also had a couple of really interesting conversations right here in the old production suite with a couple of different individuals, and I'm really anxious to get to show you a few of those clips as well. So let's first start talking a little bit about Ruba's keynote. And there were some really interesting things that were presented there. Of course, all things throughout this entire event was where we were talking about AI. I'm so glad that the word AI was not part of a drinking game. Otherwise, we would need more than just this coffee. And but it was no small part of her event as well. And really a lot of it gets back to how does AWS enable partners, like a Rackspace, for instance, to be able to enable AI-based solutions for our customers and for their collective customers as well. And one of the things that was talked about was the Gen AI Center of Excellence. Now, the Gen AI Center of Excellence from AWS, which was announced yesterday, is a resource that is available for partners, for training, for engineers and experts to be able to come alongside, even out in the field, and help partners, help customers adopt Gen AI. Now, they gave some great examples throughout the week of how Gen AI is not only impacting customers today, but some of the opportunities for it in the future, whether that's in healthcare, whether that was in retail, life sciences. It was all over the place in all of the presentations. And I'm sure here just very shortly, Dr. Werner Vogels is going to be on, and we're going to hear a lot more about AI. I'll give you a little bit of a recap on that in our live stream next week. But that was really the big thing, is how AWS is enabling partners. And that's one of the areas where AWS has really been quite fantastic in the past, and that is how they're helping partners enable customers. It's been a bit of their secret sauce, because as you know, AWS is great about rolling out great tools for the builders. And a lot of times companies need some help in the building. So There are a couple of other main things I want to talk about, but first, let's jump over to one of the conversations that I had yesterday, and this is with a guy named Eric Carlin. Now, Eric and I have known each other for a better part of a decade. He's an ex-Racker, and he spent, like I said, about a decade over at Rackspace, built some really amazing things over at Rackspace, including the Rackspace Public Cloud. We had a key part of that, worked for the CTO there, John Engates, at the time, but then left to form a company called Prosper Ops. Now, Prosper Ops is in the FinOps space, and they've got some amazing tooling. We don't get into it in this part of the clip I'm going to show you, but they're a company that helps lower the waste of spend that companies have in the public cloud. In fact, they estimate that there's about $50 billion a year that's wasted in cloud spend, and they help cover that. Now, the part of the clip I'm going to show you has to do with a metric that they've devised and now is being used widely in the industry of how to measure very scientifically and report on your the amount of money that you're saving in your cloud spend. So let's go ahead and roll that clip, and Eric's going to tell you all about it.
So one of the things we created when we started Prosper Ops is a metric called the effective savings rate. And that is a KPI that is an ungameable metric that basically tells you when it's all said and done, you have different discount rates, different products, you have different coverage, different utilization, all of this complexity. You have cyclical workload patterns. So there's many things that go into this. But when it's all said and done, what are you saving off the on-demand rate? And that's what effective savings rate is. And so the way our process works is we come in and we run what we call a savings analysis for customers. And it measures their effective savings rate over the trailing 12 months using whatever they're using today. Like some customers are using a visibility tool, they write scripts, they might be using another third-party tool, whatever it is. What is your rate? And then we take our algorithms and we play it on their data forward, and we project net of our charge what the effective savings rate will be in the future. And our approach, we're kind of data type people. We're like data nerds. And so our sales process is extremely data driven. Like it's generally
no lies in the sale in a data driven process.
So we present data to customers. Here's what your savings was. Here's what we projected it could be. And we kind of arm our customers with data to just go make an informed decision.
That's really fantastic.
And what's really cool is we've been promoting effective savings rate. It's useful for us as a way of sort of being a report card. Like how is Prosper Ops doing? How do I know? And I always tell our customers, as long as your post-Prosper Ops ESR net of our charge is above your pre-Prosper Ops ESR, you're effectively in the money. And our platform is writing our customers a check every month. But it's a useful metric for anybody, even if they're not using Prosper Ops. You should know your ESR. And so we've been promoting ESR. Our team jokes with me and sent me a Texas license plate that says Dr. ESR and all this kind of stuff. So I've been out there sort of promoting it. Well, at reInvent, Amazon launched a new cost dashboard that includes effective savings rates.
Really?
So,
So you're impacting the world.
We're starting to see it. The FinOps Foundation, which is another group that we're
great
affiliated
organization.
with, is also in the process of adopting effective savings rates. So it's really becoming a standard.
Part of the vernacular.
Yeah, I met with IDC while we were here, and they said that this is one of the 5 or 10 KPIs that we recommend everybody measure. So if people don't know their ESR, they can actually go to we set up a microsite at effectivesavingsrate.com. And there's a completely free Google Sheet that they can access. And we explain to you, how you can calculate your effective savings rate on AWS. And of course, if you just want to come to Prosper Ops and run a savings analysis, we can also
do that
tell you that same. And that's a totally free process.
Do you track how much you've saved people over?
We do. We've saved. In fact, if you go to our booth, there's a check, a big check in our booth. It's $750 million.
$750 million.
Is what we've saved customers since our inception, and we now have about $1.5 billion of annual compute usage under management. So
incredible. Wasn't that interesting stuff? I really encourage you to head over to prosperops.com and check those guys out. They're just some great individuals, and they're on a mission. They're on a mission to save money. We didn't get into this, but in the clip here, but you'll hear it when I post the whole video next week. And that is the way they get paid. And I asked that question very pointedly. And they only get paid when they save you money. So it's really an interesting organization. It's a great model, and I'd love for you to go check that out. All right, well, let's get back to Ruba's keynote. There were some updates to the marketplace, and there were 4 really main areas that caught my attention that I thought I would bring up. And the first one is they have a SaaS quick launch, which enables the ability for marketplace-driven applications to be on top of CloudFormation, which means those are vetted not just by AWS, but also by the partner who has put them into there. So that's really quite fantastic. There was another update too that she announced, and that is the ability to connect directly via API into the marketplace as a partner, which means like a company like Rackspace. If you could come into a Rackspace portal, you could order some AWS and it would be enabled, and you would actually, and some capabilities, you would never even need to leave the Rackspace page, which as a partner, I think is a great idea. Let's see, what else happened? They lowered prices for partners. So if you're a partner putting solutions inside of the marketplace, well, those costs are now down between 1.5% and 3%. And then lastly, and this is, I think, one of the things that is really helping enable solutions for end users, and for partners, and that is as a customer interacts with the marketplace and transacts in the marketplace, shows interest in your solutions in the marketplace, there's now a native connector that goes out via to Salesforce CRM so that now you can track all of your business directly through Salesforce and not have to manage multiple portals on a daily basis, which was really quite cool. Now, next is I had a conversation with a couple of really interesting folks. The first was Jeff Kratz. Now, Jeff is the Vice President of Worldwide Global Public Sector Channels and Alliances for AWS. He's been with AWS for a while, like 11 years. He was like number 48 in public sector when he joined over at AWS after a 20-year career at Microsoft. And it was a fascinating conversation. Again, when I post the whole thing, I'm going to encourage you to go out and watch all of that. But I asked the question of Jeff, as well as my other guest, which was Rick Rosenberg, who leads public sector for Rackspace. I said, with everything that we're hearing in technology today and with where the world is going, what were they looking forward to in 2024 as far as maybe more around the art of the possible, where they could be, where they saw the world changing and the impact that they could have. So let's take a look at that clip with Jeff Kratz, who leads public sector globally for with partners and alliances for AWS, as well as Rick Rosenberg, who leads public sector for Rackspace Technology. What would it be?
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of it move forward anyways. Even I think it will happen. And one of the big areas that we have focused on has been choice. Mm-hmm. And from that perspective, it's not just a region, AWS region, that has all the cloud services. Right. We've iterated on behalf of our partners' feedback as well as our customers to local zones, dedicated local zones, our Snow family, our products, Outposts, and then services on all these. Right. Because not one size fits all. And our approach is to provide the choice for the partners to take what components, what services, over 300 different services that we have, more were announced this week.
That's right.
And then build the right solution that is agile and nimble, secure for what the government needs. I do think we're going to see predominantly 4 big trends. Okay. One is an acceleration of citizen services for all of us. Yeah. That may be during an election cycle, it may be getting your car tabs renewed as a part. And so from that, we're seeing government modernize back-end systems and processes very rapidly at the state, provincial, local, or federal level. The second part we're seeing is really preparing future generations for the workforce. It's why we announced shortly, $20 million into cybersecurity training and engagement to help build that talent that's there. We're doing that in AI and other areas to make sure that the talent is there for our partners so that they can go ahead and have that rich set of expertise. Universities definitely getting engaged in that. Because if you have that talent, then you can take this amazing technology, put it to use. Right. Third is we live in a connected world. And so much more on how do you have security but agility. There's a tension wire that's in there. But there are people that want to do bad things out there. I don't understand it. There are.
Unfortunately, it's a fact of reality.
And with ransomware on the rise in a variety of different parts, especially for on-premise scenarios, how do we help governments stay nimble while accomplishing their mission within that agility inside? And then the last part that I'm really excited about is how we solve some of the hardest problems in the world.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I love public sector. It's a mission-driven workload. And in a world that is right now rather challenged, uncertainty, financial markets, war and conflicts, et cetera, being in public sector and taking cloud with our partner community, we get to do good things.
Yeah.
And I think the world needs a lot of healing. This is an opportunity with a mission-driven approach, together with our channel partners, to do good in the world. And you'll see those definitely next year and years following.
Right. Maybe same question to you, Rick. What are you looking for? You've been in public sector for a while. Where's some opportunity for technology to improve?
Echoing what Jeff said, but just with Gen AI coming out, there's a lot of citizen services that are definitely going to take advantage of Gen AI. I think Contact Center, you mentioned AWS Connect earlier. Try and connect with Gen AI to help citizen services through like welfare eligibility, tags, everything else. I mean, that is specifically going to speed up the process, but also allow our government to do this more with the same amount of people.
Yeah.
Because cost savings in government, it's not about taking out headcount.
No.
It's about how do we extend and speed up the services for the citizens with the same headcount. And unfortunately or fortunately, through the benefits of COVID, now we're seeing technology adoption being much faster. And I think that's what we're going to see with Gen AI, is it just being adopted in government so much faster than it would have been without that.
Well, I think the big cap. Wasn't that some interesting stuff? Again, I'm going to post all of these full interviews out starting next week, and you'll be able to watch those whole things. Now, there have also been some other interviews that I've had that haven't made it up here onto this yet. We were going to show some yesterday, but our live stream really just became a full conversation in around all of the data and AI announcements that were there. Now, as I go through these updates from the keynote that we had yesterday, I've also done some reviews of the different keynotes as well. Now, we have full blogs for these keynotes. If you want to go back and inspect a little bit more about what some of these updates were, well, there should be a QR code coming up on the screen. If there it is up there already, that you can head over to the Rackspace page and check that out. Again, that's over on the Rackspace blog, and there are some really insightful blog articles that go through a lot of the details that I've been talking about on these live streams. Now, there have been some folks who've been commenting in. I'm so glad that you're here. Gene, thank you. We're glad you're here. Nick, it was so good to meet you. One of the Rackers I've worked with for years and finally got to meet face to face. Natalie's here. Deepika is here from San Antonio. I'll be back in San Antonio sleeping in my own bed tonight, and boy, am I excited about that. Well, if you are a partner of AWS, or you work with a partner, you'll know that partners have the ability to have what are called AWS specialization. Now, specialization means that AWS has a competency of some sort where you are able to not only show expertise in an area, but also have education in an area and have a certain number of customers who are working in that area as well. There were some new specializations that were announced this week in Ruba's presentation yesterday. The first was the AWS resilience specialization. Now, resilience specialization, as the name would imply, is you have the ability to go out and not only deploy great solutions on behalf of customers, but do it in a way that is resilient should there be any sort of an issue. Now, there are three parts to that. There's the design. Are you designing for resilience? Second, operations. Are we operating in a resilient fashion? And then lastly, because things do happen, recovery. What are the recovery steps and plans? And do they meet the requirements for resilience that AWS has specified? The second is AWS cyber insurance specialization. Woo, that couldn't have come a moment too soon. Now, the AWS cyber resilience specialization, of course, has to do with these solutions that are deployed in a way that works well with insurance providers to ensure that they have everything that they need to be able to provide appropriate coverage for an organization for their workloads that are running out in AWS. Customers can find now affordable policies and receive a quote in 2 business days. That's right. If these solutions are deployed in this way, they can actually get these quotes from insurance providers for their workloads running in AWS. Then third was what's called AWS built-in for ISVs. And that is a certification for ISVs that their solutions are running in a native fashion and automatically install, configure, and integrate the ISV partner solution with foundational AWS services. So these ISV services running in a compliant and a happy way over with those native AWS solutions. All right, Gracie, glad you're in the audience here today. And folks, this has been an amazing show. I don't know if you've ever been to an AWS event. These things just get bigger every year. I'm told there were over 65,000 people here. Now, it's important when you're here that you get out and make sure that you got to stay healthy at these things. I mean, it's 65,000 people that you're around. I love to get up and exercise in the morning. In fact, somebody took a picture of me while I was exercising, and I think Megan may have it in here. There it is. Look at me. Oh, that's what I look like when I get up in the morning to go exercise. No, that's not true. There was a partner that you could get in and take a cool picture of and turn you into a superhero. So I like to think that's how my family sees me, but I did send it to me and they had a good chuckle. These events always have all sorts of entertaining things that you get to go out and check out and enjoy. And this was no exception. The booths down inside of the expo hall were incredible. Not as incredible as Rackspace's. We had this amazing VR event going on down there. But there was some great stuff from Snowflake. There was a full diner that was down inside of there. Of course, the AWS, whole area was pretty stunning. They took great care of us this week. All right, so up today, if you are still here at AWS, we have Dr. Warner Vogels is going to be up. If you are watching from home, I'd encourage you to watch this one. This one goes deep, and it's always a big thing. What t-shirt is he going to wear? And up he'll come to share what is happening in AWS. Now, next week, we will talk a little bit, give a bit of a recap on what's happening there. But Tuesday, we're back to our regular live Cloud Talk Live schedule, and we've got some really interesting stuff we're going to dig into around our 4th quarter research. And I've got some amazing ladies who are going to be a part of that conversation. I've met some incredible people here this week, and we got them signed up to be on the program once we get back to the new year and kick this thing back off. So I look forward to seeing you not only next week and the week after, then we got a little bit of a break, and then we're back next year with some incredible content. We've already been recording some new podcasts that will come into the program next year. So if you're not already a subscriber to the Cloud Talk podcast, well, I'd encourage you to go and subscribe to that. You can find it anywhere that podcasts are found. So I tell you what, why don't we go ahead and sign this one off for this year. This is the last live broadcast that we'll do here from Las Vegas. And I look forward to seeing you back from the home front next week, where we dig into our 4th quarter research that digs into trends of what we expect to see next year. There's some really interesting private cloud stuff that's happening. There's a quote that talks about how over 80% of workloads are expected in the enterprise and commercial to be running in a hybrid fashion for the foreseeable future. So folks, while we're here at AWS talking about all the public cloud goodness, know that private cloud is still a part of our future. And I'm really excited to dig into that research with you next week. All right, thanks for being along for the ride this week. Folks, it's been great. Look for the long form of all of these interviews to start getting posted next week. They'll be inside of the Rackspace YouTube channel, as well as then linked over here in LinkedIn. All right, everybody, my name is Jeff DeVerter. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist for us here at Rackspace Technology. You can reach us by sending an email to solve@rackspace.com, or, of course, just friend us up over on LinkedIn, or just wait around till next Tuesday at 8:30 Central Time, where we'll be back unpacking our 4th quarter research. Have a great day, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next week.